Assalamu alaikum student, it's me Nabila, your English teacher. Open your book, class 4, unit number 2. Today we will read our unit number 2. Open your page number 14, unit number 2. Pips meet a convict. Convict mean criminal prisoner. Pip meets a convict. Okay. This is basically a story about a boy, about a young man as an infant. Philip was unable to pronounce either his first name or his last name. Doing his best, he called himself Pip, and the name stuck. Now, Pip, a young man, is an orphan living in his sister's house in the marsh country in southeast England. So, this is the story about the character Pip, and we will start our reading of page number 14 now. Before starting our reading, I will mention your meanings here, which I have given on the above. Battery, a fort. Blacksmith, a person who creates tools and objects out of metal. Third is churchyard. What is churchyard? The area around a church used for burials, usually full of tombstones. Coarse, rough. Convict, prisoner. File, a metal tools with a rough edge or surface used for cutting or smoothing hard material. Grub, a slang word for food. Marsh, a wetland area by water, usually covered in a small plants. Nettles, a weed that stings skin when touched. Orphan, a child whose parents are dead, ravenously eating fast due to greed or hunger. Tombstone, a large flat stone standing or laid over a grave. Weathercock, a device in the shape of a cockerel used to show which way the wind is blowing. Wilderness, a natural space that hasn't been shaped or lived in by people. Okay, now we are starting our reading. My father's family name is Philip and my first name is Philip. But as a child, I couldn't say either, so I called myself Pip, and then so did everyone else. I say that my name is Philip because that's what is written on my father's tombstone. Tombstone is a place, a large flat stone standing over a grave, okay? And it is what my sister told me. My sister is married to the blacksmith. Blacksmith. What is the meaning of blacksmith? Blacksmith is a person who creates tools and objects out of the metal. Next paragraph. We lived in a marshy area down by the river, a few miles from the sea. One day I stood in the churchyard and looked over my parents' tombstone at the dark, flat wilderness beyond the churchyard. The marshes were crisscrossed with ditches and mounds. In the distance, I could see the grey line of the river, and then far away the sea was a cool day. Turn on page number 15 now. Okay, now. The grey land and the grey sky made me feel sad. I suddenly realized that I was an orphan and I began to cry. Hold your knives, cried a terrible voice. It came from a man who had just stepped out from behind a gravestone. Keep still or I'll cut your throat. Next paragraph. This man was frightening. He was dressed in rough grey clothes and he had a big iron chain on his leg. He was an escaped convict, his shoes were broken, and he had an old rag tied round his neck. Now we are describing the man who just came suddenly in front of boy. He was dirty from being soaked in the muddy water from the ditches. He was covered in scratches from nettles and stones. He limped and shivered and glared and growled. His teeth shattered in his head as he seized me by the chin. "Oh, don't cut my throat, sir," I pleaded in terror. "Tell me your name," said the man. "Quick!" "Pip, sir." Once more said the man, staring at me. Louder. "Pip, Pip, sir." "Show me where you live," said the man. "Point out the place." I pointed to where our village lay, a mile from the church. Then man looked at me closely. Then he returned me upside down and emptied my pockets. There was nothing in them but a piece of bread. The upside down view of the church righted itself when the place me on a high tombstone. I sat trembling while he ate the bread ravenously. "Now look here," said the man. "Where are your parents?" "There, sir," said I. The man jumped and made a short run, but then he stopped and looked over his shoulder. "There, sir," I tremblingly said, pointing to the tombstone. Next page, page number 16. "Oh," said the man, "so who do you live with? If I let you live, which I haven't made up my mind about." "My sister, sir, Mrs. Joe Gardray, wife of Joe Gardray, the blacksmith, sir." "Blacksmith, ah," said he. He looked down at his leg. After looking at his leg and me several times, he took me by both arms and tilted me back as far as he could hold me. Then he stared into my eyes. "Now look here," he said, "I need to decide. We'll let you live. Do you know what a file is?" "Yes, sir." "And you know what grub is?" "Yes, sir." After each question, he tilted me over a little more. This made me feel helpless. I was in danger. "You get me a file," he tilted me again, "and you get me grub," he tilted me again. "You bring them both to me," he tilted me again, "or I will have your heart and liver out," he tilted me again. I was dreadfully frightened and hoped that he would not drop me. I clung to him with both hands. He dipped me backwards and rolled me round so that the church seemed to jump over its own weathercock. Then, still holding me up on the tombstone, he went on. "Early tomorrow morning, bring that file and the grub. You bring the lot to me at that old battery over there. If you do it and you don't say a word about me, I will let you live. If you fail or say anything at all about me, then your heart and your liver shall be torn out, roasted, and eaten. Now I am not alone. There is a young man hiding with me. In comparison with him, I am an angel." Next page, page number 17. "That young man can hear us now. That young man has a secret way of getting at a boy and his heart and at his liver. A boy can't hide himself from that young man. A boy may lock his door, maybe, may think warm in bed, may tug himself up, may draw the clothes over his head, may think himself comfortable and safe, but that young man will softly creep his way to him and tear him open. I am keeping that young man from harming you at the present moment with great difficulty. I find it very hard to hold that young man off of your inside. Now what do you say?" Okay. I was so frightened, but I said that I would get him the file and I would get him what broken bits of food I could, and I would come to him at the battery early in the morning. Promise on your life, said the man. I promised, and he took me down from the top of the tombstone. Now he went on, remember that promise and remember that young man and get home. Good night, sir, I stammered. It's going to be a long night for me, said he. He looked at the cold, wet flesh marsh. I wish I was a frog or an eel. He hugged his shuddering body in both his arms as if to hold himself together, and limped towards the low church wall. He got over it slowly, like a man whose legs were numbed and stiff, and then turned round to look for me. When I saw him turning, I was frightened again and ran home without stopping. This is taken from Great Expectation by Charles Dickens. It's about the writer. Charles Dickens is known as the greatest writer of the Victorian era. He wrote a huge number of novels and stories that were very popular in his lifetime and that remain popular to his day. He was known for creating wonderful characters. Dickens wanted the world he lived in to change for the better. He campaigned for the children's right, education, and the reformation of society to make it more equal. That's it for today. You have to learn the dictation words. You have to do your words meaning on your notebook and have to learn about your dictation words. That's it. Allah Hafiz. Bye bye.